Everybody?
I think so.
All right, I'll call the meeting to order. This is the November 12th, 2024 Agricultural Commission meeting. Dive right into the agenda. And acceptance of the October 2024 minutes. You sent them to everybody.
Yesterday.
Um,
Is this our agenda?
Yes.
Thank you. Do we have a note here?
You're being recorded remotely.
Oh, that's why there's nobody in the other room.
Yeah. Oh, somebody left us a note. Okay. I move we accept the October minutes as written.
All right. We have a motion to accept the October minutes. Any need to discuss the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask everyone to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. All right, moving on to the treasurer's report.
We don't have the National Grid November bill yet, but that might just be because it's too early. In the donation account, we have $5,360.61. In the budget, we have $1,153.95. This is before the Boston lawnmower bill, correct?
Yeah, I have that all ready.
Okay. But I can take the mulch off here. That's here. That's in there. And I think that's it.
All right. Can we get a motion to accept?
Motion to accept the
Treasurer's
treasurer's report.
All right, we have a motion to accept the treasurer's report. Any need to discuss the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask everyone to vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to the community garden report.
Do you want to have Laura do all her
Yeah, we can.
stuff while she's on a roll
Can
over
do-
there with the
Doesn't matter.
computer?
Doesn't matter to me.
Any exciting correspondence?
Yeah, October National Grid bill was $18.03. And we are in balance with the town accountant on the budget figures. And we got that $60.60 amount that we paid for mulch. 12 bags of mulch?
Did it end up being 18 altogether?
Oh, maybe.
I think she needed 6 at first and it wasn't enough and then
Yeah.
asked for double, so I think it was 18 total. I could look if you need.
I don't need it, I just
Okay.
was curious. And then in the AgCom email, that was all there was in the mailbox. In the AgCom email account, there was something from Dee about updates to the town website, which I think you're gonna talk about later anyway, right? And that was it.
Excellent. All right. Shall we dive into the community garden stuff?
Okay, I'll do the report first. And then we can do the announce the vacancy. Things are in pretty good shape. Almost all the plots are clear. One has been abandoned. We covered it to kill the grass. One gardener's been contacted several times about doing his job, and it still isn't done. So I've sent him an email saying that he's not eligible for a plot next year because he did not do what he was supposed to do. So.
Is that the one that was abandoned, or?
No, that
This is-
was,
okay.
the abandoned one. A lot of times what happens is they abandon when they know they're not coming back
Mm.
because they just don't
Yeah.
want to do it.
Yeah.
So this person has been in the garden for several years, and I've contacted him several times about it. And I finally sent him pictures showing what it should look like and what his looks like, and no response. So I told him that it needed to be done. If it's not done, he's not following the rules, so he's not eligible next year. It's an out-of-town gardener, by the way, so I feel that that's part of the rules, so I had to say it. It shouldn't be other people's jobs. The last 2 raised beds are in. Thank you, Laura, for picking up, and thank you, James, for filling them with the loader. That was just so much easier. I have reimbursement paperwork for the raised bed stuff, and I just need confirmation as to which, I think I know which accounts each amount was coming out of, but I wanted to confirm it with you before I had
Sure.
everybody sign. I asked June if I could do it on the same cover sheet, and she said yes, just make note as to what amount is
Perfect.
coming from each
Yeah.
account. So what I think I remember is that we were funding, from the donation account, we were funding the first repair of the rototiller, 1 tank, the blocks to support that tank, and the timbers. And that was to come out of the donation account. And out of the town account was the 2nd tank, the timbers and the 2x4 that support it, and the blocks. So,
Yeah, we basically have $550 in the budget for the raised bed with the accessories, so that was 1.
and boom, I came in so low. You're gonna be so
I
happy.
know, I'm just gonna say we can probably shift some of that over.
Well, I'll
but,
be asking
yeah.
for that later. So that came out, that one that comes out of the town budget came out to a total of $420.44. I got the tanks on sale, which was great, and everything else just played out. And then from the donation account, the repair bill and the return of the rototiller to the garden was $237.02, and then the setup for the tank, when you add that $420 in, it becomes $520. It's actually a little bit less than that, $652.25. So the total is $1,072.69. So was that right, that the repair was coming from the donation account? That was the only question I had.
Yeah, because we didn't budget for it. I mean, there is still a little bit of flexibility in the budget, but we need to save, what am I looking at here? Well, there is $175 for garden cloth and staples, but we're probably gonna need that in the spring.
Yeah, I'd rather wait until the spring for the things that we need.
There's $300 for compost.
Mhm.
We're already over on garden supplies by $27, but, oh, and the mulch that came out too,
Yeah,
so.
that came out.
There's probably gonna be room left in the electrical account, because we budgeted $300 and it's been under $20 a month, so.
Okay, all right, yeah, we can wait and see. So, I'd rather see it come out of the donation account, because there's
Okay.
so much of that
Mm.
you might as well use that and keep that.
Then you
till
can have a
the
spending spree in the spring.
You know I love that. It's a challenge. Okay, so I'm gonna write this on the paperwork.
So the $1,072.69 total included both tanks?
Yes.
Okay, just wanna make sure I have
Yes,
the numbers right.
yeah, I just split the amounts,
Mhm.
between the donation, the amount for the donation account and then the amount for
Yep.
the town. So I had a 2x4 and I wasn't gonna I chopped it in half, but I wasn't gonna charge half to donation and half to, okay? I cannot tell a lie. I just charged it to the town account, okay, $5.21. All right, so donation account, we're looking at $652.25 for the repair, the tank, the blocks, and the timbers. And then the town account is $420.44 for the 2x4x8, the tank, the timbers, and the blocks. And that comes out to, and I think I did it several times with my calculator just to be sure, a total of $1,072.69. So I'll have everybody sign off because I can't sign this. All the receipts are attached if anybody wants to see those. So the only thing on old business was that the rototiller was serviced and returned, and
So it's just the one that we have to sign.
yeah, Shane, you just have to sign the top page. Thank you. Pay my credit card bill. We have to do the unfinished business first.
Yeah. I think that we can pass over the vacancy for the time being. Alright. And move on to the rototiller.
Okay, so it was with us for such a short time. It gets stuck in forward gear. There's a little round thing that goes underneath and it gets jammed. I was able to pop it out and get the rototiller started, so it's not a problem of starting it like it was before. It's a problem that this thing gets stuck in gear, and once it's in gear, you can't get it out unless you take a screwdriver and you jam it and lift it. So I don't think that's going to be conducive to rototilling. So that's where we are, and James said that, was it Kenny, when he comes
Yeah.
by the next time, maybe he can look at it, or I can see about taking it somewhere else or back to Boston Mower. I wish we had known that
Was
had
an
been
issue.
was an
Yeah.
issue, because we could have said that when we dropped it off, not
Right.
that it just was not starting and wasn't
Right, right.
working right, and we didn't think that it was put together correctly. So I'm not sure they even tried it. They got it started, but I don't think they took it out back and tried tilling with it,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Or it would have shown up as an issue.
Yeah. Most of the area around there is paved.
Yeah.
Exactly. Till Route 9.
Take it over the old golf course.
It's gotta
So-
be a strip of grass somewhere.
So for now, we can, anything that's left to do, if we want to go through any of those really bad gardens again, we can use the Husqvarna, but it would be nice to have it back for the spring,
Mhm.
when we till everything again.
Yeah, it seems like it's a useful enough thing that there's no harm spending some money on it if we needed to. Yeah, I can see if Kenny wants to take a peek and just see if he has any hunches. There's a few other folks in town, probably too, that we could just have look at it and see what they're.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Who might be willing to swing by and just say hi.
Hmm?
They might be willing to swing by and just say hi, so I can reach out.
Okay. So we'll talk in another month.
Yeah.
Okay.
And see if we can lure Charlie down there at some point if we see him come into the stand too.
All right, so I gave everybody the rules that I just updated a little bit. You know, every year something different happens and we're still having growing pains with the perimeter fence and everything, getting everything the way we want it to be. So the application, there are only minor changes, and obviously the date, the 2025 Berlin. And then on the row where it says donation only, returning gardener, new gardener, next to disabled, I put disabled or 65 plus, because that needed to segue into the Berlin Senior 65 for the raised beds, because there's a sentence there that said raised beds are assigned on a priority basis to gardeners who are 65 plus or
Yeah, that
disabled.
makes sense.
And I don't, you know, I know all the current gardeners, but if we have a new person come in Berlin who's disabled or 65 plus, I don't check their IDs or anything, so I need to know that they are, okay? So that was the only, oh, and then the only other thing I changed was the order of the part under the signature thing. What's that mean? So under the signature line, it used to say make checks payable to the town of Berlin, but what I did was I put the non-resident applicants should not include payment, because I would get checks from non-residents. So right away I wanna say, non-residents, don't send the check, I'll let you know if you get a plot.
Because they don't read beyond, yeah.
Exactly. So then the next one, I then made, make checks payable to the town of Berlin and then mail it to me. That's the other problem with it being divided, making checks town of Berlin, mail it to me at the end. They only write the check and they send it either in with the census,
jeez.
right? And then we get it
Yeah.
a month or two later.
Mhm.
So I figured as long as those two were together, that made more sense in the logic of, okay, I'm not sending a check because I'm out of town. Oh, where am I gonna mail the check? I'm gonna mail it to town of Berlin. Oh, who am I gonna mail it to? Okay, so that is the fine tuning I did on that application. And if anybody sees anything that needs fixing, any typos or anything that doesn't make sense,
Is there a reason that the 10 by 20s and the 10 by 10s, resident to non-resident, are like, they're not double like the 20x20s and the raised beds are?
I didn't follow that, say that again.
Sorry, all right, so, on the plot sizes,
Mhm.
the 20x20 for a Berlin resident is 20,
Mhm.
and it's doubled for non-resident. The 10x20 and the 10x10 are not doubled. They're, and then the raised beds are doubled.
You know, I don't know. I know we went through,
It's probably, I mean, it's probably not an issue, I just,
Curious.
yeah. It's like, why don't we just double everything for the non-residents?
yeah. I have no problem with that.
Well, you charge them by the square footage, or you just, how does
No,
that?
I think
How did you guys
did-
price it to begin with?
When we, initially, we charged non-residents the same as Berlin residents, and then the thinking being that we really needed to charge more because it's being subsidized by
Taxes.
Berlin
Taxes.
taxes.
Sure.
So they're getting the compost
Yeah,
and
yep,
all
yep,
that
yep.
kind of stuff, the same as a Berlin resident. So we said, okay, well, we really should charge more. That's a logical conclusion. And that's what we came up with. But if you, I see what you mean, the raised bed
Yeah.
is doubled, the 10x10 is not, and the 10x20 is not. So do you want me to change that?
I don't know, what do we think? We can either,
I mean, do you want to incentivize people to use the smaller plots, or?
that was kind of what I was getting at, is like, is there a reason that we're targeting?
No, and
some
the
being
way
more?
that we've started to play it out is if you're a new gardener, you can't get a 20x20 because we're finding that's where all the failures occur.
Oh.
They don't realize
How big that
how
is.
big it is and how much work it is.
Yeah.
And so people who are coming in and getting the bigger plots, so we've made it a rule when we go over this that you come in as a new gardener, you get a 10x10.
Mhm.
But I will interview people, and if I feel that when I talk to them, they obviously have experience, and there's a 10x20 available, I'll ask them if they want it.
Okay.
And I'm doing about 50-50 on that. So, you know, I want people to come in and participate, but I don't want them to be overwhelmed
Right.
when they get in there and they realize you have to be there. You can't just plant the seeds and come back in September.
The other,
Oh, by square footage, it's actually cheaper. 20x20 is cheaper, square footage wise,
oh,
so.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's double what Berlin's paying, but they're still getting it cheaper by square foot.
Well, that's good to know. I like that way of looking at it.
That could be fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I just, the accountant in me says, how come everything isn't doubled, you know, for a non-resident? Or, how come some things are doubled and not all of it, you know, like maybe
Yeah, no,
maybe we
it's a
go
good-
down on the
it's a
20x20s
good point.
and the raised beds or something, but.
How big are the raised beds?
8 by
8x3.
3.
Or 4, 8x3 by.
Are you finding that those are popular
4.
compared to the others?
You can't put,
It-
yeah, 4
Yeah,
feet.
you
It's
can't-
4.
You can't put enough on.
You
yeah.
can't put enough in, we have 12 of them now,
Yeah.
yeah. And they're already spoken for.
Seriously,
You know,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah, people, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to stop for a while. There's other things we need to do. Before you know it, it'll just be this giant silver.
Silver.
You notice when you drive by, you get this flash of silver, it'll be this field of silver tanks. Oh, they are great, though. They're really great. Okay, so do you wanna, we'll take this under consideration, leave it as it is?
Yeah.
And, consider changing it next year, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that is the updated application. The rules.
We'll meet again before the clerk's office is looking to send out the census, so we can play and finalize in December and then,
Okay, yeah.
so there's no rush.
Okay, I have it all written up, so that's why I wanted to get it in a little early so people could think about it. So I didn't change much of this. I tried to put some things together, add a little bit. So in the first, in general, the part of donation of produce, I just added that we also donate to the Veterans Food Pantry. So I added that in. And I moved from the old one, parking and lot only, up above the garden is open sunrise to sunset, parking and lot only. I moved that so I could grab space for something else I had to do.
Mhm.
No smoking is the same, no pets, children. I separated out these two sentences: no one should enter another gardener's plot without permission, and do not remove tools, hoses, produce, etc. from another gardener's plot without permission. That continues to be a problem.
Hmm.
The sentences were together. It's not a huge problem, but it happens. So I figured I wanted to separate those two sentences so they were two different thoughts.
Do you guys supply do we supply the tools to the gardeners?
Yeah, we have on the back of the shed, we have a guy who, he's not one of the gardeners, but he does stuff for us.
Oh.
And he put a big tool rack on the back of the shed. So it's great, so we used to keep them in the shed.
Yeah.
And then I had people going in and out of the shed and leaving the shed open, so we locked that down to the gardeners where we have
Yeah.
all our important stuff now. And the shed, it's on the back. And they
Do you
can-
find that people put the tools back, or do they leave them in their plots?
For the most part, they put them back.
Okay.
They have some trouble putting them back where they belong, but.
At least they're in the general area of where they belong.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that looks good. And then you have the jumble, you have to straighten it out every once in a while. But, yeah, we've been doing that since the very beginning because of River Bridge. We figured it would be helpful for
Yeah.
people who are living in an apartment not to have to worry about tools, and it would
Sure.
encourage them to participate and make
Right.
it a little bit easier for them. Plus, a lot of people love to give us, hey, got this old shovel, you want it? Sure, we'll put it there. So the last one in bold, we've been doing that. They're not always good about that, but I go over it with them all the time, and hopefully, for the most part, the gates are closed and the water's off. We didn't have any water accidents this year, which was good.
That's nice.
People leaving it on and flooding people's gardens out. Mandatory meeting.
Drought.
Yeah.
Mandatory meeting was great. That didn't change that statement. Okay. The next one I changed around a lot because people still don't understand that a community garden means you have a garden and you work to keep all of the public places in order. So I speak about it at the meeting, but I wrote it down as best I could that they're obligated to participate in general work sessions to maintain the common areas, or they can be responsible for a specific job during the season, and that these work sessions are not for gardeners to work on their individual plots, which was a problem before they came and figured, oh yeah, I'll come to the work session, I'll work on my plot. No. And then more information will be provided at the opening meeting, as well as throughout the season. I'm gonna generate a list over the winter, and I'm actually gonna give them a sign-up sheet at the mandatory meeting. What are you going to do?
Mm.
I figure at least they can own it if they have to write it down. Mulch day thing didn't change. plot assignments, none of that changed. The organic gardening stuff didn't change, except I popped one word in there, look for pests and diseases regularly and control them organically. Going down to, this is another one about the people who have a problem, and even after I reach out to them, they don't respond back or say, no, everything's fine, and it's not. So we've decided, because it worked really well this year, that if we reach out and they don't take care of their plot and they don't contact us, we're just gonna tarp their plot, because the weeds get so out of control that it's an awful job at the end of the season.
Yeah.
So we had to do that with 3 plots this year. The All Gardeners thing, the perimeter pathways are a problem for some people on the perimeter gardens. Even though everybody is supposed to, you're responsible for your half of the pathway around your garden, keeping it weed-free. But there's a new pathway around the perimeter inside the fence. And so all those gardeners who have a perimeter garden, they're responsible for keeping that mulch path, the whole path, clear. But it's only a 2-foot, it's only a little path like this. So that, some people are having trouble with that one, but I'll beat it into them eventually. Let's see. For the perimeter, about the perimeter fencing, the only thing I added that happened this year is that they should keep their plants from growing through the fence. Because I said you can't use it to grow up, you can't trellis or anything, and then we had, squash vines heading out. So I just added that in there. Everything else. Oh, and then the one that starts, no permanent fixtures can be installed in the plot, and I added, that at the very end about, they have to remove everything at the end of the season unless approved by the garden manager. And the reason I did that is because I want to start moving us into extending the season with some of the gardeners who are very responsible and really could benefit from an extended season, both at the beginning and the end. And so in order to do that, I don't know if you've driven by, there's one gardener that has this big trellis thing. And so I thought about this for a while, because this is where I feel we really should, if we're encouraging people to grow things, and we really need to do what real farmers do, when you start way earlier and you go way later. So as long as they're members in good standing, then I think they should be able to extend the season and not shut down right away.
Yeah.
And where we don't have to depend any longer on having someone come in and till the whole place, now that we have the rototiller, it can be a little bit more flexible.
Yeah, because you could just do one later, or in the spring,
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly. So I changed that for that reason, and those are the only, it's mainly just wording things and adding a couple of the minor things that you realize happen as you go along, and often can't predict what's gonna happen during a season. So, let me know if you see anything or.
Is there a period missing, and the no permanent fixtures may be installed in a plot?
If it's because if I put a period in, it would take an extra line. That would be probably yes.
Yeah.
I went back and forth with it, and I'm like, just not gonna put a period in. You would find that, wouldn't you?
Actually, no vegetation or dirt should be placed in the rock bins, doesn't have a period.
Oh, then I better fix that one, huh?
That one's short. You got room for a period.
Okay. So where was the one,
I
James?
saw something too.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth paragraph from the bottom on the second page. No permanent fixtures may be installed in a plot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, so that one should have a
Yeah.
period, yep. And Laura, which one was yours?
The
It
next paragraph down, second line.
Okay. Yeah, the one that I squeezed in was somewhere else then.
Nobody found that one yet.
No,
I'll track it down.
it'll show up.
More information on the first page, the 1, 2, 3, fourth paragraph up, the last sentence also.
Oh, yeah.
Which one?
It says more information the paragraph starts as a member of the community garden. Gardeners are obligated.
Oh, okay, yep, I see that one throughout the season. Okay, get that one in.
Now it's just become a game of
Yeah.
find the
I
punctuation.
saw something, and I didn't say anything, because I didn't.
We're all on the
Yeah.
hunt.
Yeah.
So far, that's the extent of everything.
Yeah, just
Yeah, no,
putting
it
in
looks
periods.
really good.
Oh, I found one. No
Seems good.
pets allowed inside the garden fence. 2 periods.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, aside from punctuation here and there, it seems good to me. Do we want to vote to accept these now, or?
Or did we, well, we could accept them, but people were gonna think
Pen-
about the.
Pending the pricing thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's no huge rush on the rules and regulations beyond just wanting to get them onto the website, which doesn't need to happen today.
Right, no, we're not, I
Yeah.
was gonna talk to you about that
Yeah.
next.
Yeah, do we want to chat about the website?
Yeah, so what I wanted to ask you to do, if you could take out, like now, I don't mean now run down and do it, but now. The 2024 application and the 2024 rules, and just say, you know,
To be,
available mid-January. Because what happened last year was the application went up, but the rules and regs didn't go up, and then they signed off on the old ones.
Mhm.
So if we could just totally pull them, because especially the people from the neighboring communities who want a plot in the garden, they want to get their application in as soon as they can, and they were signing off on the old rules, so. And then we'll just put them up, once the census goes out, we'll post them.
Yep.
Okay.
we can do that.
Okay, that would be great, and that'll solve that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you and I can fine tune that language. Discuss allocating funding for financial assistance with plant seeds, the garden material.
Yeah, this has come up a couple of
gardeners.
times. We had a donation that specified that they wanted it to go to somebody in need, so that they could grow their own food. And I talked to the food pantry at that time, and they said, well, the problem with it is, you know, it's great that they have a plot, but the problem is financial, and they would need, it would be hard for them to do something because they'd have to buy plants, they'd have to buy seeds, that
Right.
kind of stuff. So we kind of tabled it, and then I talked to Mary at the food pantry again and said, you know, could you just run this by anybody and see if anybody's interested? We'll see what we can do within the garden, getting seeds, and people do leave extra seedlings on the table once they start planting and have extra, but that's kind of hit or miss. And that's why I thought it might be a good idea if we could, and I don't know how that would fit with the rules, town rules. Can we take money from the donation account and give it in some way to someone in need that is going to have a plot in the garden so that they can buy the plants and seeds of what they want to grow? So who would have an answer to that? Who should I
Yeah.
talk to?
I mean, Kristen probably would understand if there's any sort of complex technical or legal considerations.
Okay.
Just insofar as the town's concerned, but. And so, or she may have an idea of who to talk to.
Okay. Right.
I wonder if you could set up like a, like, you know, at the stores, you see take a penny, leave a penny type thing, but I wonder if you could set up some kind of system where people can seed swap within your own garden community anyways.
Yeah, well,
Have
we
them
do
available
have
for-
that.
you
We
do
have a
that.
little, on the back of the shed, we
Yeah.
have a little box that people put extra seeds in, so those are always available. But
Okay.
not, you know, it's not great, again, it's
Yeah,
not.
right.
But it's part of what we do, and I do wanna try and increase, tell the gardeners, you know, if you're gonna do 6 seedlings, how about 12? And
Yeah.
you know, donate them to the garden. Let's see if we
Sure.
can do better about getting more plants out there for other people to try different things.
I wonder if you like made some, I don't know, without, you would, make like not like a day of it, but like a,
You could almost take one of the work parties or something and just do a little plant swap.
Mm.
Kinda, you know, bring your plants, leave them, without making it too formal so that.
you're telling them without telling them.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
entry fee to the workday. Is a plant, bring a plant, take a plant. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that
Yeah.
would solve some of it, but not all of it.
Like,
Yeah.
we're always starting stuff throughout the season too on the farm, and depending on timing, I mean, there's always some surplus from that gets tossed, that we wouldn't mind if it found a home, so
Okay.
we can talk about that.
All right, so I will talk to Kristen and find out if we could make a small amount of money available. There'd be no problem with us giving a person a plot, a small plot. It's just a
Mhm.
matter of how to do it, and then continue with the seed stuff and any of the seedling things that we can do.
Yeah, and even if it was something that we ended up deciding it was more appropriate to just do through the donation account, and leverage that account that way
Yeah.
a little bit, and so it's not tax money necessarily going into it.
Yeah, I would say that we'd go to the donation
Yeah.
account for this,
Especially if some donations, they specify,
that's what they
that's what we
wanted
wanna
it to do.
yeah.
Okay. So the other thing is at the apartments, how many units are low income? Does anybody know?
I'd have to look at the figure. It's, I think at least 10%.
It's a percentage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I thought it was a percentage.
It has to be at least 10% in order to, but I can't remember what the actual percentage is.
So I usually go to the apartments and give them applications, and
Mhm.
they announce it in their whatever newsletter or whatever they have. So would it be appropriate for me to write a little thing about help being available to families that, I'll have to think of how to say it, but that there's help available for people to get a
Mhm.
plot.
Yeah, and it's something that we could include language in relation to in the census.
Yeah.
And too, when we send this stuff out. If you can find room for it, just to. make
The
sure
other
people
thing
know.
is you could post into the, like the over 55s that have been,
Mhm.
because they don't have the chance to garden either, but within their own place.
Yeah, you're talking about Northbrook?
Well, like even up by my house, they got the over 55. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
There's no community, they have a community center.
Yeah, they're
but they
not
don't-
allowed to do any of that, 'cause
Right.
Charlie
Yeah.
just told me that. He says, you know, we can't plant anything.
Yeah, you can't even
Huh.
put
Yeah.
flowers in there.
Yeah.
Well, and we have a new COA director too, who just started. They might have, some insight on how to approach that.
Okay, all right, so that'll be something I can work on in my spare time over the winter.
Yeah, it
See
seems
what
like
kind of answers I can get.
it would be, it's worth pursuing.
Okay. So, I'll continue to work on that. We can talk about that over the winter. The bays for the wood chips compost and vegetation are in progress. We're doing the wood chips and compost area first. I've got it all prepped and ready to go, and the guy who's gonna do it wants to get it done this fall or this winter, or before it's winter. And hopefully that happens, and I'll ask the town to dump the wood chips if they can before the spring, and then the compost
What are
delivery.
you guys making the bins out of?
Out of,
Concrete blocks or something?
No, those are expensive pallets. He's doing, he's laying down 1x6s and putting the pallets.
Okay.
He likes to build stuff.
Sure.
So I trust him.
So when they run
And he's
out,
he's
they'll
gonna
replace them.
stabilize them, it's not like they're gonna be hanging all
Yeah.
over the place, yeah. So he and I have talked about it, they're gonna be 12 feet wide and 10 feet deep. So that should hold a load, yes?
Within reason.
Within reason. End up taking the whole thing out.
There's a lot of weight.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
day. Should I have we can squeeze a little bit more space. I just didn't want it too close to the wellhead.
Yeah. See how it goes, I guess.
Okay. Hey, it's an experiment.
You sound skeptical.
Yeah.
Wooden screws usually don't hold up the tons of dirt. So we'll see.
We'll see what happens. Well, then maybe we'll have to start looking into getting some of those big blocks. I don't know how much those cost.
Oh, I mean, they're not cheap, but they're not, they're a byproduct of the concrete companies. When they come back with cement that's been mixed already, they pour them in the block, so Sterling Concrete was getting like $50 a block or something at one time, the last time we did it, so it's not terribly expensive.
That's not overly expensive. I thought they'd be a lot more expensive than that.
So, and I think those are, if my memory serves me, they're 2x2x4. 2 feet wide, 2 feet tall, by 4 feet long. And if you stagger the joints, they so, but that was a couple of years ago. I haven't looked into them since, so. But again, it's a byproduct, so you could call like Sterling Concrete or Dolphins or any one of the concrete companies and ask if they have them. You can get expensive ones that are faced and stuff, that have rocks that are veneered on them and all sorts of stuff, but if you just look in the whole dirt, you can find some pretty plain Jane ones that won't, usually they don't cost a ton of money.
Oh, that's good to
So.
know, because I was told they were expensive, so, all right. When the pallets fall down, after you dump the compost in, I'll
Yeah.
look into redoing it. So that's where we are with that. And this is new business now.
Yeah, any other garden
This isn't old
related
stuff, this
topics?
is new stuff.
Yeah.
So can I do it now? We don't have to,
Yeah.
right? So, I don't like to sit still. The garden shed is a mess. You've been in there. It's very poorly organized. There's these shelves up above that hold nothing. There's pegboard all over the place. I wanna pull all the stuff out of it, get rid of the stuff that I can get rid of, 'cause things just keep getting just shoved up on the shelves and you're tripping over everything all the time. I wanna get a decent shelving unit, so I wanna tear all those shelves out that are up above, because I can't reach them anyway, and put a good-sized shelving unit over where the surveillance camera is. So we can actually put that camera in a safe area where it's not gonna get knocked off the shelf and it's visible and available to use, but then also be able to store other stuff up there. So I'm looking at one at Ocean State. It's one that I actually have in my own house, and it's really nice. It's stainless steel or whatever they make them out of, and it's $100 with a $20 crazy deal that we can turn over to buy stuff I need to continue what I'm doing. So I am going to ask, they're on sale this week with the crazy deal, so what I would like to be able to do is buy that this week while it's on sale. And so I'm requesting funds from the donation account to be able to buy that shelving unit so I can start tearing that place apart. I promise I won't put a bunk in to sleep in.
Does anyone wanna make a motion?
I will make a motion to spend $100 out of the donation account. Is that gonna work? 'Cause,
Yeah, I'll take the tax-free number and I'll get it
Okay.
for tax-free.
Yeah. I make a motion to spend $100 from the donation account to buy a new rack from Ocean State for the shed.
Second.
Second. Alright, we have a motion to allocate $100 from the donation account for shelving for the shed. Any need to discuss the motion? Hearing none, I'll ask everyone to vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. you, it's gonna look much nicer in there.
I have to make sure that you never go into the barn at the farm.
I was just thinking, I want you to come to my
Come to your
house.
What are you doing this winter?
I'm really good at tearing up other people's stuff. Don't look at my house. My stuff is all over, well, I'm doing it now, because I can't do it in the summer. It's when I'm stuck inside in the winter and I start doing all that stuff. Bring a little heating unit down there for me. So that is all the new business for me.
All right. Next item on the agenda is the annual report. I was gonna work on a draft for that, and then an election happened. So I've been preoccupied with clerk stuff, but I figured I would work on putting that together between now and the next meeting and have something that we I think we have until January to finalize that as well, if I remember correctly. Could be wrong. And so we could make any final changes and vote in January if we wanted to. But, I don't know if anyone has any topics that they might want to highlight this year. Usually we kind of just go through the list of projects that we've worked on
Yeah.
and say, here's what we've done.
Yeah, so the
Which
only
is typically pretty
new
straightforward.
thing at the garden was, this was the first full year with the fence.
Mm-hmm.
The Veterans Pantry, we did a huge, the donations we made to the food pantries this year was huge. It's the best ever. It was really good. I'm trying to think of anything else that we did different. You know, still about the same number of families, about the same number of people from surrounding towns. I'll get you numbers on that, James.
Yeah, I'll reach out. 'Cause that'd be great to highlight. It's kind of the whole pitch for sort of generally supporting it is it supports people beyond those who are using it.
Yeah, I'll read. Those town reports still downstairs in the box on the way in. I have to grab one. I was
Oh.
looking for one the other day.
Some out in front of the clerk's office, I think.
All right, I'll grab one of
Yeah.
those and see what you wrote last year.
Yeah, I can send around just the document itself to everybody. I was gonna bring it tonight and got distracted. But yeah, I'll plan on having something for November that we can kind of sink our teeth into a little bit and see if there's any changes that we want to make. And then FY26 budget. I don't think there's anything that we really have to do with that at this point.
I haven't seen a packet
yeah,
or anything
we had
yet, so.
They did the budget kickoff meeting today.
Right,
So
right.
they're just starting to think about it. So we're at the beginning of the phase.
But that means I should probably check the mailbox.
Yeah, we can take a peek on the way
Not
out.
wait until next month to check the
Um,
mailbox.
I can swing by the accountant's office tomorrow too while I'm floating around up here. And, say hi, 'cause they said we could pick them up there if
Oh,
we
okay.
didn't make it to the meeting. And then I don't think we were on the list of the scheduled appearances before the FinCom. 'Cause last year we have a very small budget.
Yeah.
You know, I think they're like focusing on the ones that change and are large.
Like a big
As opposed to.
town meeting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we'll see if they may decide that they want to chat with us at some point, depending on what we end up telling them we want to try to do. But it seems like it should be fairly straightforward, like it was last year. So that's another one that we can probably dig more into in December.
Mhm.
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
All I got.
Exciting.
All right, I move we adjourn.
We have a motion to
Second.
adjourn. Seconded. All in favor? Aye.
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 I
Motion passes unanimously.